adult sons, adult daughters can often play a huge role in the care of their parent, but that's not their job.
Welcome to Money Talks Life Lessons. My name is Melissa McGuire, co-host and co-founder of Isle Wealth. I am here with my fabulous co-star and co-founder, Joanne Caban. So today we are here with Darcy Faulkner of Comfort Keepers Parksville. So how does it work for, when somebody calls you, the caregiver calls you, they're in a crisis zone. The person that they're caring for is strongly believes they need to stay in their own home, but they don't want anybody coming in. How often do you work with that? And then how do you help with that? Because it can be, I'm thinking of it from a perspective of my grandma. Yes. She really, really did not want anybody coming into her home. And it was my two aunts that cared for her around the clock until she passed away at home in her favorite chair. But she just wouldn't have it. So how do you
have anybody else other than her family?
Exactly.
Which is asking a lot of the family, because it takes them out of their life and puts them into a care role position, and sometimes having that conversation with the person saying, do you want to turn your daughter into a caregiver? Or would you rather have your daughter being the daughter when she can come in and just have a conversation with you and not be the caregiver? Right. We employ caregivers to do that. It's not an easy conversation. I have a 92-year-old mother, and she gets to a point where, Mom, I think you need a little bit more care. Well, I'm an independent person. I don't want people in my house. Well, but you need help with breakfast. Right. And then she looks at me and she laughs because she sees the contradiction.
Right.
She understands that contradiction. And so we're able to help her put some care in the morning. But if somebody doesn't have an advocate that can say, hey, excuse me, you just contradicted yourself. You want care, but you don't want anybody. How does that work? People need an advocate. People need somebody beside them to say, you need this, because I can't tell them that they need it. Their daughter, their son has to be strong, has to take the adult role at this point. And I often tell adult children, you're now the adult. You're the one that has to push the right thing to do. They have a right to do what they want to do, but there's a right thing to do and a not so right thing to do.
That's such an interesting thing in terms of advocating for. We always think when everybody needs an advocate for help with something, navigating something, right? Oftentimes it's help with the medical system. So you have two sets of ears, you know what's going on. Somebody can push for help with the medical system. But in this case, it's an advocate for the person, for what the person needs, that they might just maybe naturally resist, maybe not realize they need it so much. So it's still advocating, just in a different way than we naturally think of it.
It is so important, and I have seen so many people just turn away from care that they need because they're exactly what you just said. I don't need that. I like my independence, but they're not coping. Right, and everybody can see it.
Right.
But nobody's saying, no, this is something you need. So, and there are a lot of people who don't have advocates in our community as well. So, it's kind of sad. However we can advocate for these people, we should.
So we kind of talked about, with the kids, like the adult children coming to you. Do you ever get calls directly from potential clients who want to stay in their home and don't want to go into the public system or retirement home?
Yes, we do. We often get calls from the client themselves. It is always helpful if they have family involved, and we try and get the family involved if at all possible. But there are people that don't have families as well. And yes, we do get calls from them as well. Yes.
Okay, great.
And do they usually call earlier? Like
No.
not so, still crisis mode is when.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's thinking that they can. We've been brought up to be independent, to look after ourselves. You know, it is, and that generation wants to be, independent and capable,
Right.
especially as they age. It's a sense of pride for them, and they feel like maybe they're missing something, or they're failing in some way, and it's not that at all. A little bit of help goes a long way.
Right. I could even reflect back on just some major issues that I've had in my life, maybe childbirth, whatever, big events and all those sorts of things, and hearing from my parents, pull up your socks and get on with it. That totally aligns with what you were just saying here. Pull up your socks. I'm like, no, but I want my socks to be down for a minute. I need some help. They're like, pull them up, get on with it. Like, soldier through. So I can completely appreciate that.
The earlier a little bit of care comes into a situation, any of these situations, the better the outcomes, and the easier it is for this person to acclimatize to having care, because you do have to open your home to people, to strangers that don't stay strangers for very long, because they begin to develop a rapport.
Right.
But change is always difficult for people. People do not like change.
So how does it work when somebody's using your services and they might, let's say, I don't know what the schedule looks like, and I think we'll probably chat about that a little bit later, but let's say they have somebody come in once a day for 3 hours a day. Would that typically be the same person that would come in Monday to Friday for 3 hours a day, or is it a different sort of scheduling process that you go through?
So care is not a weekly thing. Care is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Wonderful.
Care does not stop. And you have to get up on Saturday and Sunday the same as you have to get up on Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
So we try to keep the same caregivers with the clients. Clients and caregivers build a relationship. So what I always say to a new client is that we will build you a care team. So you will have 2 or 3 people that will come and visit. In that scenario, it would be 2 or 3 people that would be their caregivers. They would come in on a 7-day schedule. That would be it. Caregivers get sick. Caregivers need holidays. Caregivers change. So there is always a little bit of change happening, but on the most part, we keep people together once we've introduced them, and they like them. Sometimes we know our caregivers very well, and when we're meeting a new client, we already are formulating in our heads who would be a good fit for this client.
That's great.
And we try that, and if it's wrong, then the client just has to say, hey, not quite the right fit for me, and then we try something different. So that's a fluid thing as well.
Okay.
We often see a dynamic of where maybe the adult children have taken a more active role in their parents' lives, like as they're aging. And then you mentioned it comes to a point where they need more, or it's just becoming too demanding on that child's time. They just don't have the capability anymore to be there as much as the parent needs. How has that played out on the emotional side of things? Because I could see, we've kind of talked about preserving dignity for the client, but how does it look from like a family meeting standpoint? Because I could see there being some resistance to adult children maybe letting go of that role, knowing that they can't fulfill it fully, but maybe, they're kind of wanting to make sure things go well for their parent. They kind of have one foot in it, one foot out. Like, have you seen that dynamic play out, or is that something that your team kind of helps navigate with the families?
Yeah. I mean, adult sons, adult daughters can often play a huge role in the care of their parent, but that's not their job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their job. They have jobs of their own,
Right.
usually, and they have families of their own, usually, that they have to take care of. So the added stress in the life of that whole family, of them having to look after the aging parent, can be very stressful for them. And what I have seen is relief.
Relief, okay.
That finally we can get somebody that actually does the caring. You know, and sometimes putting your own dad or your own mum in the shower is not where an adult child wants to be.
Right.
And that's where nurses come in. We do that. That's what we do.
Right.
And it takes that burden off the adult child. And the adult child can become the daughter or the son
Right.
again
Right.
and be that role. Bring flowers, sit and hold their hand.
Right.
Not, do you need to go to the bathroom, or do you need to have a shower, or should I change your bed? You know,
Right,
that's
right.
caregiving, and we can do that.
So you don't see a lot of family conflict that way at all then? You see a lot more relief, not
I do.
not so much
do.
guilt or adult children trying to hold on.
There is sometimes guilt, but you know, with guilt, all they need to do is come and observe and be there and be present. And we welcome that. Come and be present and watch what we do while we're doing it, so that you can rest easy, that this care is the right thing for your parent.
That's wonderful. It's more, again, like a partnership thing.
Yeah.
And we become a partnership in the family, because it's not just the we're looking after the elderly person, but it's a relief for the whole family,
Right.
because they're going to be worried
Yeah.
and not sure what's going on and not sure what they should do. And when that care starts taking place and that senior starts, you know, radiating again, enjoying their life again, the whole family relaxes. The whole family comes back together.
That's wonderful. That's not what I would have thought, right? I would have, and I guess I'm coming to it from, again, the perspective of my generation, and everybody just want to make sure that everything's done the way we think it needs to be done. But it's wonderful. I can totally appreciate how it'd be wonderful for somebody to get back to being able to just hang out with their mom.
Yeah.
Or hang out with their dad.
Yeah.
So
Share those special moments, because, you know, these people are coming to the end of their lives, and they're not going to last forever. And it's
Right.
normal. This is not an abnormal thing. Death is normal. We are all going to die, you know. So sharing special moments or quiet moments with your mom and your dad as they're aging and they're changing and they're walking down that road towards that is so important for a daughter or a son. And that's where they should be, not caring, not doing the laundry, not cooking the meals, not, you know, taking out the garbage. They
Right.
should be sitting there with their parent.
So for any of our listeners who are beginning to notice changes in their parents, when is the best time to start exploring like care options?
before the crisis.
Thank you.
But there's got to be a better time before a crisis that you would identify.
I mean, I would say if you're noticing changes, and changes can be really subtle, or they can be quite in your face, like burnt pots and all sorts of things that should not be happening. Look for care as soon as you can. The earlier the intervention, the earlier that somebody can get used to having a caregiver around, can develop a relationship with that person, and can build trust with that person, the better. Because whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and then they have somebody that they can trust.
So speaking of that, how would you guide a family into having this type of conversation that feels more supportive and less, what's the word I'm looking for? Less overwhelming early enough? Because again, if we come to this from the perspective that usually you hear from people when it's necessary, right? How do you start the conversation with families prior to, so that it is a normal part of thing and we're just moving forward and not burdensome, not overwhelming, but
Well,
important.
you know, podcast like this is great because people can listen to it and understand that the earlier that you put care in for anybody is going to be a positive impact. I mean, getting the word out is hard. You know, we do our best to promote early calls and early intervention, but people tend to hang back. And I'm not too sure why they do that, because then they get into trouble.
Right.
And
Or they
then
just
I
don't wanna
get the
believe that
crisis. Then I get the crisis call.
Right.
Or they just don't want to believe that they're in that need area yet.
Right. Right.
Because we've been brought up to cope with
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
So, but it's not a failure to have a little bit of care.
Right.
So I feel like I am sold on this. Like this is something, you know, that I will definitely consider for my future family's plans. Now, so we've kind of decided we want to move forward. This is what we want to do. We've made the call to you. How long does it take to actually, from picking up the phone to having somebody in our home?
So I would say within a week we would have
Oh,
somebody
wow.
in place without any problem at all.
Holy moly. That's
Amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah, we can have the first step is what we call a care consultation, which is complimentary. After the call has been made, we come into the home. One of the care coordinators, RN and LPN, come into the home and we do an assessment. What is it that's necessary? Where is the pinch point? What is the problem that we're dealing with here? And so then a care plan is developed around that problem. If we need morning and evening care, that's fine. If we need once a week care, that's fine. Whatever the problem is that is needed to be helped. And then a care plan is written, and the scheduler, as soon as the care consult is happening, the scheduler knows, and we are kind of aware of what might be requested, whether it's once a week or 24-hour care. And we can have that in place within days.
Wow. That's amazing. That's really amazing.
I feel like we need to have some sort of client event that our clients need to come and hear Darcy talk so that they know what options are available, because we're in an area where we hear about years of wait lists. You know, people are falling through the cracks right now, living out home, trying to get into a safer place, but they don't realize they have more options out there.
Right. They think that they're going to be safe if they go into a facility.
Okay, so now that we have the joy of knowing that clients can get services, they can get care, they can get that partnership when they need it and not have to wait any major length of time, that's huge. But I guess what everyone's going to want to know is, okay, this is really fast, sounds amazing. What does the cost look like for us to do this?
So we are completely private. Nobody funds me. No government agencies giving me money. So there, the cost is the cost, and it $50 an hour, minimum 3 hours.
That is super
so
reasonable.
for a 3-hour window, you're looking at $150.
Okay.
Perfect. And I'm assuming, this is my planner hat that starts coming on now, that we get receipts and we can potentially deduct it from our
Like
tax
medical
returns, our
expenses.
medical expenses. Like, this isn't official enough that we can do that.
Absolutely.
Well, that makes me smile.
Hopefully something everybody knows about. I don't know. Well, they will now.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a close now, but it'll be a little bit too emotional. I'm so grateful that you came onto this with us and accepted our invitation. I can't get over how fantastic this conversation has been. Like, just the whole part of it, you do present extremely well, but your information, it's so timely for what people need to know these days.
It is.
Because we keep hearing all sorts of, we hear so much. And again, I'm going to speak generationally, just because I'm in that age group that needs to start thinking about what it will look like for our parents, right? And it's confusing, and it's hard, and it's hard to remain a child of somebody, right? And the whole dignity aspect of it is so important for people. So I love everything that you've said today. It just sort of exactly sums up how I feel about that. If somebody wants to stay home, it gives me the skills and tools that I might need later on to be able to know that I can work with my family in the way that they deserve to be worked with. Yeah. So I think this is incredible.
I mean, and you guys all know that, the money that the government has is, in serious deficit. So, I mean, there is going to have to be a mind switch to the fact that wealth management is going to have to help these people know that they're going to have to look after themselves because there is not the money to look after them coming from the government. And their proposed builds and care needs is just not going to be there.
Right.
So you guys have a vital role too in helping people understand that this is going to be, it's a choice that they can make to look after themselves. And if they've got the means, then they can do that.
And if we plan early enough and people are aware of this as being an option, that's where we come in and we're able to say, look,
So
like
important.
you can do it. And we talked about our client earlier on. What a great news story. She called me and said, Joanne, like, I want to stay in my home, can I? And we're like, you could stay in your home for another 20 years, let alone 10. Don't worry about it. And the amount of relief that she felt by being able to do that. And so to your point, it's just quite amazing. So for those of you listening out there, just talk to your financial advisors, your planners, reach out to us. And we're happy to, have that discussion and make sure you can do things from that human side of with dignity and grace, right? So thank you so much for everything today. We really appreciate it.
Welcome. Very, very welcome. Thank you for letting me be here and telling everybody about it.
Thanks so much for listening and watching.
As always, you can follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, check out our new Instagram page. And for all things Isle Wealth, please visit our website, islewealth.ca, where you can see all of the fabulous videos and guests we have featured. Bye for now.
Corporate disclaimer. This podcast has been prepared by and with expressed opinions of Joanne Cabin and Melissa McGuire, and are not necessarily the opinions of Raymond James Ltd, RJL. Statistics, data, and other information presented are from sources RGL believes to be reliable, but their accuracy cannot be guaranteed. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of securities. Investors considering any investment should consult their investment advisor to ensure that it is suitable for the investor's circumstances and risk tolerance before making an investment decision. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Information provided in this podcast is general in nature and should not be construed as providing legal, accounting, and/or tax advice. Should viewers have any specific questions and/or issues in these areas, please consult a legal, tax, and/or accounting advisor. RJL is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund. Raymond James USA Ltd. advisors may only conduct business with residents of the states and/or jurisdictions in which they are properly registered. Raymond James USA Limited is a member of FINRA and SIPC. We hope you enjoyed the podcast, and for more information, please visit islewealth.ca.